Hi, welcome to another episode of Make Dirt Track Racing Fun Again. It's Bill with Fugly Pushco. We have Gary Guinn with POWRi Series. Nice to meet you, Gary.
Nice to meet you, bud.
And we actually really just got to know Gary this week, and I don't know him at all, so this is a totally random interview, but just have a couple quick questions for you.
Sure.
I know you're the race director for
Yep.
POWRi. So what's a little bit of your racing background?
So I started racing hobby stocks in 2003 at Duke City Motor Speedway, or Speedway, whatever it was called back then. From there, I tried asphalt in 04, did not like that. Went off to the core. In 2008, I started racing at Hollywood Hills in a hobby stock. Okay. And that progressed to running in Uranium Capital Speedway in a hobby stock. Trey Brubaker, our announcer, me and him did our first promotional event together. We ran a thing called the Mudyard 50/50. Broke the track record for car count. Paid $1,000 to win for hobby stocks, which was like unheard of in 2009. We did it again in 2010. In 2012, I started building a modified, and I ran a modified halfway in 2012, 2013, 14. And then I sold that car, bought a cruiser for my wife, which was like a bomber, and a micro sprint. Started running micros. And I was like, this is fun. Then I realized everything on this micro sprint is the exact same cost as a big sprint car, except for the motor.
Right.
So, and I wasn't going to pay $12,000 for a freaking 600cc motor. You know what I mean? So I was like, I ain't doing this. So I found a car that Chad Tenske's brother had, and bought the car for $1,200, basically a roller, and found a motor from Jesse Baker, bought it, started running non-wing cars. There was a 360 wet sump motor, and lost that car in a house fire. Won 2 separate sprint cars in 2 separate raffles. One of them from Jesse Baker, his wing car. It was a J&J that his dad had won the non-wing championship in, and he had been racing it. So started wing racing in 2019, and then COVID hit. Well, during COVID, I was driving an hour to work, hour home, you know? So on the way home, me and Jesse would just bullshit on the way home, talking on the phone, like, how could we make sprint car racing better if we had an unlimited budget and we could do whatever we wanted?
Right.
And we came up with the idea of doing the POWRi series. We wasn't going to be a POWRi originally. We were just going to run it without a sanction, you know? And but who are we going to get to run that had enough clout and enough knowledge to be able to actually run a series and get it off the ground? We both thought the only person dumb enough to do this is Chad Tenske. So we called Chad, and Chad was like, hell yeah, I'll do it. And then like halfway through the season, Chad went, man, you guys take this shit really seriously. And I've been having fun with my go-kart friends during COVID in my backyard go-kart track. I want to go back to doing that because this is way too serious. So I said, okay, Chad, I'll park my sprint car temporarily, and I'm going to go help you run the series, and I'll take it over on year 2. And that's what happened. And I've made like 5 starts, I think, in a sprint car since 2021.
Wow.
If that. I ran one 305 show and a couple wing shows. And then I just haven't raced really since. I raced a Legend for Josh Jackson out at Botto and Roswell a couple times, about a half a season or so. And then, so I mean, I've raced stock cars, modifieds, micros, Legends, hot lapped a midget for the first time last night.
Did you hot lap last night?
Yeah, that was me in the 01 car. And I was like, man, this thing is tight and the steering is really quick, and I was not smooth at all.
I didn't get to see it.
Oh, it was terrible.
But you guys had a great car count last night.
Yes, so this season we've had B-mains every race we've went to except the first time we came here to Deuce Club Speed.
That's amazing. So you've really been able to, I guess, make that series grow, because, I mean, it's not very old.
No, I mean, we started in 2021. I took over halfway. I've ran it 2022, 23, and 24. When we first started, the first race we ever had, we had like 38 cars.
Wow.
And then we were a victim of our own success, because I always say it's the best of the Southwest. Well, ASCS was racing in Arizona. We couldn't get into Arizona. Arizona's ASCS club was really kind of falling apart, so to speak.
Yeah.
They were only getting like 12, 13, maybe 14 cars. We were pulling between 20 and 30 cars usually. And then we kind of died off there for a little while. We were like 15 cars, 20 cars. And then we hit our stride, and with Brad saying, okay, I want you guys to come race with us, we've been able to have this year B mains every time but the first time here. And that was because we had a lot of guys at Casa Grande and Vado lose motors and
Yeah, it was
end up
bad
cars.
timing, and I think a lot of people
Yeah.
were waiting to see.
And there was a non-wing race that same weekend in Yuma,
Yeah.
and some of our guys raced non-wing as well. So we didn't have the car count that we wanted the first race. And Brad told me, like, if this is all you're gonna be able to pull, man, I can't pay you the purse that we agreed to on paper.
Right.
So for this one, I called every sprint car guy I knew and said, come on, I need you to be here. And I mean, we've got 3 or 4 305s running with the 360s.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, Claudia Segal in the 619 that beat 5 other guys, other people in the B main.
Yeah.
That was a 305.
Wow. Yeah, we're going to talk to her later today too.
Yeah.
Today's the first time I met her. She's a really nice person.
Super nice.
So one of the questions, and we try to keep these short because nobody watches anything on the internet longer than 3 minutes. At least I don't. So, but one question we've been asking everybody, because the whole purpose of this was to get exposure for people that don't get to go in the front straight away, but also to get more of the background side of what dirt track racing is out. So what we always ask everybody is, what would you tell somebody that's never been to a dirt track before, to get them to come out and watch? And then what would you tell them to look for besides the obvious cars turning left a bunch of times in a row?
Okay, so people like to say that dirt track racing is for farmers, right? And asphalt's for real racing. And I like to say asphalt's for getting there and dirt's for really racing.
I agree with you.
And the funny thing is, Richard Petty had a really famous quote where he said, if you want to know who's got the best motor, go to a super speedway. You want to find out who the best chassis builder is, go to a asphalt short track. You want to find out who the best driver is, go to a dirt track. Because dirt guys, the track changes.
Absolutely.
It goes from heavy and wet to dry and slick. And if you know how to drive, you can make the adjustments, not just to your car, but in your driving style to be able to be fast on it. For people who just go, they just go out and turn left. People love drifting, right? I mean, that's become like the new popular sport around drifting. And I don't understand it. Like, what are you doing? You're getting points.
I agree with you.
I don't get it.
But my cohort here, he loves that shit.
Well, and that's fine. But the thing is it's like cool to watch a car drift on asphalt. But when you watch a sprint car going 120 miles into the corner and then it's 45 degrees perpendicular to the track going through the corner at 100 miles an hour on dirt, that's a totally new thing. And when you get to watch 20 or 24 of them do that, and you get to watch these guys doing slide jobs, slipping in between lapped cars, it's so much more entertaining. But if you like monster trucks, you would like sprint cars. If you like stock cars, you would like sprint cars. The old adage of, they're the push and spins, right? That's what everyone used to call sprint cars. These guys are not that way. I mean, you look at our main event last night with 20 cars on a quarter-mile track, we had 2 cautions.
Yeah. And it was a freaking amazing battle up front, too.
Oh,
it was a battle all through, but
all through.
Rick Zeal and
Dylan Harris.
Thank you. They had a great show. And super clean, too.
Oh, yeah.
Super clean.
Yeah. So the big thing is if you watch it, you look at it and you go, that looks pretty easy. You're just turning left. Yeah. But get in one. Get in any dirt car and go drive it. I mean, I've driven from the slowest to the fastest, and I would rather run in the back in a sprint car than in the front in a stock car because the speed is so. I mean, when you feel the G-forces just going into the corner, it's ridiculous.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to do it for us for this episode. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. And please come out, meet these guys that are behind the scenes, the guys that don't get to stand up front and get their trophies. Come up and talk to them. They're all really nice people. There's so many people that put work into this.
And we have a merchandise trailer that you can come buy driver shirts,
That's
POWRi shirts at every racetrack we go to.
And then go in the pits afterwards and you can get them signed. But they have a merchandise. The merchandise trailer is really nice. That's some cool shit up there.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. And we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.